Hello guys, welcome back to this video, and it's not a real video. It's just going to be me talking about this document because some of the things I want to share, but I really don't want to type it down. And I can explain better in a video. So yeah, I'll link the document below so you guys can just read it if you want or follow along. And in this video, I will cover some paper two guidelines, my advice, literally literary devices, quotes from the Year of Magical Thinking, and what I predict will be for the prompt. And before that, I want to say thanks, Yuki, thanks, Mr. Borgi, and thanks, Geneva, because I steal all your ideas. Well, I didn't steal, I use it. What you guys gonna do about it, anyways? Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about the introduction and like the organization. All of this is in classroom, but well, you guys never look at that, I guess. But I think this is just some good idea to know. So remember, start off with a hook and have a background information. I would memorize. Okay, these are stuff I just wrote, and it's not very good. But if you don't have one, then memorize it because it'll save you some time. You don't have to think about it on the spot. Have a transition, and most importantly, your thesis. And this is a sample introduction from Mr. Borgi. And the most important part of thesis is you want to have claims, okay? And you also want it to be on the prompt. You don't want it to like go off on a prompt, and that's like kind of bad. So yeah, read the sample from Mr. Borgi here. It's not from our class because he don't like us very much maybe. But yeah, and memorize these background information if you don't want to write it yourself. And here is how Mr. Borgi would want you to organize your paper too. Um, so basically you want to go over, like, you want to make 3 claims in your thesis, and every claim has a section. And for every section, you have 2 body paragraphs. So the first one is about like why text A is related to this claim, and the second paragraph is about text B. And after everything you say about text B, you compare it or contrast it with text A, and you do it 3 times. So you have an introduction and then 6 body paragraphs or even more. You see, he suggests us do additional if we have extra time, but I doubt that will ever actually happen because time is very tight with this. And because time is very tight, I normally don't have time for a very good conclusion, but I think as long as you have it, it's all right. Basically, what you want to do there is to restate your thesis, you want to summarize your action sections, yeah, and you want to write something smart, philosophical, like you want to do it in a hook. It don't have to be very good. You can try to sound smart, like while some authors use their works in order to boast, others include more negative aspects of themselves. So just write something witty about the prompt, and yeah, that's how the paper two should look like. The thesis is the most important part. If you get the thesis right, the entire writing will go well. Although it never went well for me, but that's what I am hoping. Okay, and now here are my tips. So apparently I'm not qualified to give advice because you know what? Tips. Because I never get a 7 yet, but who's stopping me? But I think these are just generally good stuff to know in general. I think having a good structure to write off is easier so you don't have to think while you write because you want to get as much content in as possible. And speaking of content, if you ever notice that your hands get tired, check out this handwriting tutorial by Jerry Tsai.
Yeah, it's Jerry. Today I'm going to be talking about.
He teaches us how to like keep writing without your hands getting tired. And it's kind of too late if it is the day before your exam because you have to take months of training to become as good as Jerry Tsai at like writing an essay or something. But yeah, you gotta remember, always stay with the prompt. Don't like always tie back to it. Use the keywords. The introduction, you should kind of speed run it to save time. Don't spend too much time on it. You gotta memorize. A thesis you should spend time on thinking. Yeah, good idea is good. And once you think of the thesis, you kind of want to have your structure ready. And because the quotes are the things you memorize, you kind of want to organize them into the parts that you want to talk about. For the body paragraph, you're giving an argument about some claims, right? So you want the transitions between the body paragraphs, appropriate ones. So you want it to have the argument to have a logical flow, because in an essay you're having an argument. You're not just talking. You want to try to prove something. I think a lot of people forget that. Um, Authorial choice, use a literary device which I'll show later, and have a concluding sentence. And be aware of time. Uh, Sleep before the exam. And yeah, that's basically what I have to say about it. Next, literary devices. We had a document in a classroom where we did that, but I think I lost it. I couldn't find it. My bad. But yeah, I told ChatGPT generate me a list of common literary device and what it means, so you guys don't have to search it up. And I made the ones in red on the ones I think will come up that will be most useful to you guys. It might not be like useful for everybody or for every prompt, but in general, for the body of work we study, these are pretty good. Symbolism, motif, irony, contrast, characterization, mood, illusion, narrative, perspective, um, diction, stage directions, particularly for a doll's house, euphemism, particularly about death, like, and a flashback. And it's like related to like the times. All right, and before I get into quotes, I think I'll talk about the prompt predictions first, because I think I will get a lot of aura if I get it right. And you guys are probably more curious about that as well. So first, I think Mr. Borgi is a sneaky guy. So he might try to catch us off guard with a narrative structure or authorial style, something like that. And what you want to talk about in that would be like the narration order. Like for example, in A Doll's House, it like goes for Aristotle's thing of like, what is it? Similarity in time, something like that. You can talk about flashbacks or like the narration structure in the Word for Words Forest, and like the time frame and the dates in the Year of Magical Thinking. The other thing is grief. Mr. Bourdieu was hinting on this like in class, because this is basically the only thing that Year of Magical Thinking is basically about. Like you can really write deep about. So I feel like, well, it should be in your claims, like at least one of them, I would say. Like whatever technique that he uses, um, grief is a pretty good one, because the other texts like kind of connect to grief. And remember, grief, you can like expand it, like define grief so that you can talk about like loss of everything, not just death. And that will help that'll be great help to your essay. And the last one is, I think the technique. I think the technique might secretly be illusions, because we did so much stuff about it. And I think I subconsciously influenced his decision, maybe. But yeah, in the book, Joan didn't talk about. I'm not sure what you would say for like A Doll's House or The Word for Words Forest, but okay, that's probably the problem with this prediction. But it's a good prediction. There's always a chance, and you want to be prepared for any scenario. So yeah. And lastly, we're going to my quotes. So the quotes are basically just things that I will remember for the exam, and it's not very complete because I don't I'm not a very good organizer. And I think it's okay if you don't memorize every word exactly, because at the end you're just quoting like a few word, a small phrase to prove your literary device, like give evidence. And I think just knowing the chapter will help, but I didn't, so hopefully that's okay. But yeah, here are some things I remember more particularly about in the book, and you'll see the quality of the notation goes down as we go through the chapters, because it's very late right now and I'm tired. So life changes in an instant, the ordinary instant. There's fragmentation, and I think I would argue like, okay, death causes people to fragment and stuff, and this shows up. A lot of the phrases keep showing up in a text, and that's like a recurring motif that was in a practice essay, and that's another good thing to analyze. A very good thing to analyze, actually. Apart from that, you have like shall not live 2 days, like you're safe, I'm here, and all that. The obsession with dates. Here's a quote. Um, it says, how unremarkable the circumstances were in which the unthinkable occurred. And that's an alliteration because the words start with un. She obsessed with dates, and I think she makes a lot of good points about like how a lot of extraordinary days are very ordinary, and that's like irony a little bit. Um, if the prompt's about style, you can talk about journalistic style. Um, Joan didn't used to be a journalist, and that kind of impact her writing because she goes into details on so many things, and it makes the reading very, very annoying. Like she goes off like off topic a lot, like on like very specific details that yeah. I mean, but it's special to her, so good job. I mean, every author has their own charm, you know. She lost track of time, like how many minutes she saw John like dead. I mean, like before he was sent to the hospital. The point you can idea you can bring up, and here's a quote that says, "In the midst of life, we are in death." And she thinks of something about religion. I think I just remember this quote for some reason, but yeah. In chapter two, medical terminology. So she uses a lot of this, and you could argue like this is very much into detail, or she works very, I don't know, she's trying to distract herself from the death by like using hard words. Getting off John's stuff, his cars, his pants, um, his shoes, you know. And it's very cliche, but it's always good. It's symbolism, trying to bring John back because he won't need them. It's like illogical thinking. Um, talk about the supposed way to grieve. Cool uncool customer, hating artificial roses. Again, like she knows it's illogical to think that he would come back, but she keeps coming back to it, and the title drop here. Chapter 3, professional literature, like allusion and references. Not just to professional, but that's the one I did in the go to literature. There's a diacope, so say what you will. Chapter 4 about, I'm gonna let you guys just read this. I'll link the document below, just read it yourself. I feel like, yeah, but, you know, here. Uh, I basically just jot down the ideas that I think I remember on top of my head, and yeah, that's it. That'll be it for today's video. Check out the document, check out Geneva's video if you haven't, and good luck on your exams today when you guys see this. See ya.